we're not always going to win, but we're going to win more often if we pick battles that we can actually win at.
Hello and welcome to Yes, You Are Brave. This is a podcast where we are going to set off on a journey together to find and build our brave, where we explore all the ways that you have been brave and all the ways that you can be brave again. Because even though we may have forgotten or we may have fallen out of practice, we're all brave. And I'm on a mission to prove it and help you believe that yes, you are brave.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Pawnee, I'm your host. Let's just jump right in and let's talk brave. Today we are talking about dressing for the weather. Also picking your battles that you can actually win. And I know these things, maybe they don't seem like they go together, but give me a minute and we'll make it come together, I promise. So I've been thinking about this and about things in our lives that we cannot actually control. We love to think that we have control over our lives, right? And that there are all these things that we can control and we have, we just like to control as much as we can. But it doesn't change the fact that there are some things in our lives that we have absolutely no control over. Some things we just simply cannot change no matter how bad we want to. And one of those things is the weather, right? We have absolutely no control over the weather. We have no control over what comes out of the sky, what doesn't come out of the sky, the sun, the clouds. We have no control over that. So what do we do in times like that? And I think that there's some things that's like, makes me think of this. A couple of years ago, I saw this. It was an advertisement for something. And on it said, there's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. And it really hit me because I live in Utah, and the weather can be pretty much anything, if we're being perfectly honest. I live in a place that right now is actually quite cold, although we have had an incredibly dry winter. So I think we've had one snowstorm that you could actually call a snowstorm. We've had a half a dozen dustings of snow, and that's what this winter is. A couple winters ago when I first got to move to this place, it was cold, it was wet, we had so many snowstorms, the snow stuck around. It can be pretty much anything. Also, an hour south of here, the weather is very, very warm, things like that. So my question, when we have weather, right? There's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. Are you dressing for the weather that you have or for the weather that you want? Because I know there's this whole thing of like, oh, you dress for the life that you want or the job that you want or whatever. But that doesn't really apply to the weather. If we dress for the weather that we want, there's a very good chance we're not dressed for the weather that we have. And then that causes problems, right? Because it doesn't really matter. When we really look at it, it doesn't matter what kind of weather we want. It matters the weather that we have. I can dress in a little itty bitty shorts and a little tank top and try to go about my day when it is 30 degrees outside. And maybe I can, maybe I can't, maybe I get sick, whatever. We can't change the weather. Now we can change where we live. We can choose where we live, and we have a say in the general weather, right? So if I don't want it to be cold anymore, I have a friend who, she hates the cold. She just absolutely despises being cold and the cold and stuff like that. So for that very reason, she lives in the Phoenix area. Phoenix doesn't very often get anywhere what most people would consider cold. So we can control that a little bit, but that's no guarantee, right? Right now, in the United States, our weather patterns have been kind of weird. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had family I have a brother in Oklahoma. He sent us a video of his daughter out in the snow making a snowman. Now they live about an hour and a half north of Dallas. They don't normally get snow, and there was a good foot on the ground. And then just a couple of days later, we had a sister-in-law in Missouri send us pictures of probably 18 inches of snow. Not typically what they have either. So we just kind of have to roll with the punches, right? We cannot always control it. Even though we live in a certain place for the weather, there's always going to be weather that we don't like. I saw this video today on Facebook, and it was this guy, and he's like, you know what? He's like, hey, I got something for Canada. I think you left. He was clearly from the South, and he said he was from the South. And he's like, Canada, I think you left your door open last night, and all your weather has just come down here. Could you just, close the door and get your weather in a bucket and take it back to where you are? Because the weather patterns right now are crazy. Also, I would like to note that in that video, he was dressed for cold weather. He said it was 18 degrees when he got up that morning, and they were not liking it, but he had this big old huge, actually really beautiful scarf thing on, and a hat and gloves. So we can't change it. And I think we have a couple of choices first of all, we can cry about it. We can complain about how unfair it is and how we don't like it. Or we can just accept it for what it is, and we can prepare for what's coming. Okay. The thing about the weather is we can't change it. But the good thing about that is we can have a pretty good idea about what it's going to be. I know that sometimes I'm like, I should have been a weather person, because only when you work in weather can you be wrong half the time and still have a job. But we can have a really good idea about what the weather's going to be. So we can prepare for that, right? I work with, again, I live in Utah, and the weather is very variable, and it can be very, very cold, also quite warm. But in the wintertime, it's generally pretty cold. And I work with somebody who is originally from one of the islands. She's from an island, and she's been here a while, but she's never quite adjusted to the cold. But she doesn't complain about it. You know what she does on days that are supposed to be really, really cold? She wears snow pants. No joke. She wears snow pants, and I think it is the most brilliant thing ever. So there'll be a day when it's not supposed to get above freezing or whatever. You can be sure that she will be wearing snow pants. And I think that is brilliant. I think it's brilliant to prepare for the weather. She's no longer complaining about the weather. Everybody, we know she doesn't like the cold. None of us like the cold, but she doesn't complain about it. She just prepares for it. She'll be wearing snow pants and big old snow boots because she's freezing. And it is what it is. So with that, I kind of want to transition this a little bit. Yeah, we know we can't change the weather, and we should probably just prepare for it. Instead of how many other things in other areas of our lives are we figuratively fighting against the weather? I want you to take a second and think about that. In what ways in your life, in what areas are you fighting against the weather? I want to talk about picking battles you can actually win. Saving your energy for things that matter, for places, for things, for causes that you can actually impact some change. And I realize that it is much easier to fight against something like the weather. It's much easier to be fighting these battles that there's actually no winning, because then there's nothing we can actually lose from that battle, right? We don't technically lose anything from being upset about the weather except for time and peace. So why do we do that? We wail on the weather. We get all upset about it. We do that because it makes it feel like we're doing something, right? When we're complaining, when we're being angry about something, there is this illusion of doing something, this illusion of action, right? It makes us feel like we're doing something. We're complaining, we're whatever, but what we're really doing is we're just wasting time and energy on something we can't change, like the weather. It doesn't matter how much I complain, I cannot change the weather. I just can't. And so, but we do that, right? Why do we do that? Why do we, instead of putting our time and our effort into something we can change, why do we take this path of, I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to complain about something, and I'm going to not actually do something that's going to help, but I'm just going to fight against this thing that over here that I can't actually change. Why do we do that? Why? And I was thinking about that, of why we do that. And I think the reason that we do that simply because we're human. And our brains tell us to take the path of least resistance. Okay? They really do, because being brave is hard. Being brave is hard. picking battles that we can win, putting effort and into things that we might actually be able to, because if we can actually win, then we can actually lose. And once we have skin in the game, then it is harder to do those things. It's harder to make ourselves take that path where there is resistance. And I think that that's something that we are not always willing to do. We don't want to actually be able to lose, right? So we play these games that have no stakes. We do these things that have there's no real reward for them. We can't actually win. So if we can't actually win, we can't actually lose. And I think that that is something, I do it too. I do it all the time. I get off on a tirade on something that is not only unimportant, but doesn't matter. I can't win. There's nothing for me to do about it. But I want to challenge you this week to maybe be brave and allow yourself, maybe even push yourself to pick a battle that you can actually win. I want to challenge you to put your energy and your time where you can actually make a difference. Let's stop shaking our hands at the heavens and demanding rain, or shaking our hands at the cold and wishing for spring. Let's just stop chasing those ghosts and waging war on the weather and be brave enough to just pick battles we can win. Let's look at our lives and say, where does it need attention? What can I actually change? How can I actually make a difference in things? And let's do those things. And I know it's hard. It's hard to feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. I want to put my time and effort into something else, because it's hard. It's hard to feel like we could actually lose. We don't like to lose. As humans, we hate losing. Okay? We hate losing, and we hate even the chance that we might lose. We might not win. But we're not always going to win. But we're going to win more often if we pick battles that we can actually win at. Which means we've got to stop chasing ghosts. Stop waging war on the weather. So this week, my challenge for you is to maybe stop complaining so much about the weather. I know it's not fun, and it's the middle of winter, at least at the time of this recording, and it's not always fun to walk out and you can't feel your face, or for it to be so cold and to never get any snow, or all of those things, to have to scrape your car, all the things, or for it to be so hot you can't breathe. But where can we spend our time a little bit better so that we can be where we want to be? We can do the things that we want to do. We can actually make a difference. We can actually change our surroundings. So that's what I've got for you this week. I want you to be brave enough to pick battles you can win, and also just be more conscious of the battles we're actually picking. So you are brave, you are wonderful, you are amazing, and I know the weather, a lot of times it sucks. And there are so many things we can't change, and I know that there's lots of crazy things going on right now. But let's pick some battles you can win. I think that is one of the best skills we can allow ourselves time to develop, is picking our battles. And so let's pick battles we can win. Let's start putting our time and our effort and our energy into things that we can make a difference, improve our lives and the lives of those around us. You're amazing. You're awesome. You're wonderful. I'm so grateful that you spend a little bit of time with me every week. And I promise to be more consistent about it in the future. We're getting back to this. But you are brave, and you are wonderful, and you are amazing. Dress for the weather. Don't let it dictate your mood and your feelings. Prepare for it, and then put your effort into where it really belongs. Because yes, my dear, you're brave enough to pick battles you can win, and you can win them. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please leave a review down below and share this with anyone that you feel like could use a little more brave in their life. And if you'd like to follow more of my journey to be brave, you can follow me on social media and link down below. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to be brave.